All right, so welcome to the first seminar. This seminar basically we'll be going over what commitment does it take for a doctorate student to get done in a timely manner, and not only in a timely manner, but to do it well. How to assemble your committee or your chair, pick your chair. Dissertation process, what is all the process you're going to need to go through for your cohort? And then what are the forms? You'll be responsible for initiating those forms, getting them to your chair, getting them signed, and getting them back to the department office so that they can be processed. Completing, being able to complete what tools are available, what kind of support's available for you. And then at the very end, we're going to go over the purpose and structure of chapter 2, because you'll be taking a lot of courses. And if you can slowly build your lit review during your courses, this process is going to go a lot smoother. So the sooner you narrow down your topic area, you don't have to have the exact questions and everything for your dissertation, but topic area. So every class that you do, you can read about your topic and kind of narrow down what you really want to do. And then next steps, okay? So some of the outcomes, what is going to be your personal commitment, and who do you need to seek to help you to make sure that you're able to do that, your support system for your dissertation. And then can you assemble a dissertation committee? And I would say that make sure you check with your chair once you get your chair, who they would recommend to be on your committee. That is extremely important. You're going to create a timeline. Now that timeline is going to be a 3-year time frame. And as you heard earlier in the orientation, they would like you, as much as possible, try to get you through in 3 years. All right. It's a 3 to 5 year process, but if we can get you in 3 years, you get to begin your career at another level. Okay, so we shoot for 3 years. And so you're going to make a timeline. If you're going to finish in 3 years, this is what I need to do and when I need to do it by. You're going to look at a checklist and track your progress, making sure you turn in the form, you do your academic checks, everything gets in there. You turn your continuous enrollment in on time, all that stuff, okay? And follow your program plan. And then if at the end, understand what goes in a chapter 2 and the formatting, that it's not a report, it's a different type of academic writing in your chapter 2. Any questions on these? Okay, so let's start. Your dissertation journey. How prepared do you feel? All right. I know everybody wants to finish their dissertation quickly, but also do a good job, because it's a representation of you and it will be out there on the internet. So you want to do a good job. You want to be able to pick a topic. And I always ask students, when you're done and you receive your doctorate degree, what do you want to be an expert in?
Dr. Sumbera?
What is it? Yes.
My apologies. I don't mean to interrupt you. I downloaded your PowerPoint. I don't know where you're at. I'm assuming what you're forecasting is what we received, right?
Yes, that's in the PowerPoint you downloaded.
Yeah, and I don't know. We're at SWOT analysis. I'm trying to look for you. I can't find you.
Oh, did I put something else in there?
Yeah, I can't. I don't know where it's at.
Oh, weird. Maybe hang on a minute. Let me check.
Okay.
I apologize.
No problem.
It's been one of those days.
Okay, it's okay.
Yeah, that's the comp review.
Oh, I did the comp review. I am sorry. It went all the way up to the top. Dissertation Seminar 1. Let me get the link.
Thank you.
Thank
worry.
you for interrupting me.
I was learning about
Poor thing.
SWOT.
You will learn about SWOT in class.
Right.
Okay, so let me copy the link. Hang
Thank
on.
you. Thank you.
I apologize. I should have checked that link before I put it in chat. My bad. Okay. So here we go. Here's the correct link. See if that works a little better. I'll give you some time. All right, now that we got the correct one, let's go back here. So as far as what do you want to be an expert in? And so by the time you get to me on March 22nd, that's going to be one of my questions. And to get you to think about what you want to be an expert in so you can narrow down your dissertation topic. Because students that I chair, when they have that nailed down, the dissertation actually goes smoothly and it's a lot more enjoyable. When they're not, I have one completely changing his topic. You don't want to do that because then you go past the 3 years and it takes longer. So really spend some time thinking about that. You signed up for the doctorate program for a reason. You want to lead in the area. What might that area be? And then lastly, you want to cut through the clutter and get a clear roadmap to how to approach your dissertation. Are you familiar with that? Do you understand it? So how prepared do you feel for that? And that's what we're going to answer today. And I'll give you some time in a little bit to talk about that. Now, a lot of students, when they get to the dissertation process, they're fine with the coursework. But as soon as they come in and see their chair, they kind of have that imposter syndrome. Like, I don't know if I can do this. This is a lengthy process. And then they get a little scrambled. They're not real cleared on the roadmap because this is your dissertation. You've got to create the roadmap. We'll guide you, we'll support you, we'll, facilitate the process, but this is your work. That's why I said start now. Start trying to figure this out now. Okay. And then when they get to the literature review, they're so used to writing reports. And dissertations, academic writing is a little bit different. So then there's a concern that comes up there. They have to relearn how to write to support a literature review versus a summary of the literature. Okay, quite different. A summary of the literature versus a literature review. So currently, when you have to do it in class, go watch a couple of videos. There's tons I'm telling you what the difference is. And do that before you do your assignments in your classes. If you had currently, if I said, these are the 10 steps to a successful dissertation, and you'll finish on time, you would feel good about that, correct? So that's what you need to create for yourself. Every journey for every person is different, and they're going to approach it in a different way. You don't want to waste time, so you want to be clear on when what your journey is going to look like. And then communicate that to your chair and your committee and share it with each other, hone it until you get to that process. So I want you to think about any other concerns you might have. And I'm going to give you time to talk about it. Well, what's some of the concerns you might have as far as the dissertation journey, writing that dissertation? Okay. What personal commitment is it going to take from you, your family, your friends, and your cohort members? Successful dissertation journeys actually start with their cohorts. They communicate well to their families. I'm going to need this time for the next couple of years. I need time, and this is how I'm going to do it. Then you got to decide, how are you going to get all the work done? So working 40 hours, I was working 40 plus hours during the week as an administrator. And it was very difficult to do it during the day. Too many interruptions. So I let my family know that I would do everything to them, with them. And then basically I would go to bed and then I would get up at 2 or 3, depending on. And then from that time to 6, when I had to get ready for work, that's when I worked on my dissertation. Made for a very long day, but I got more done because I had no interruptions, no phone calls, no animals, no TV, nothing. It was quiet time for me. I couldn't do it during the day or even in the evenings, right? I wanted to spend time with family. So you have to decide when that time will be, and you need to arrange it. So it's your personal commitment. Everybody is different. What is going to work for you? Okay. So let's take a few minutes. I'm going to put you in the breakout room and talk a little bit about what might work for you or what works for you now in order to get writing done, research and writing done. Okay, let me pause this. All right, what was some of the things you came up with as far as what you want to be an expert in, or what time are you going to set to try to get your dissertation done? How did you work? How are you going to work that out? Yes, Val.
Thank you. I just had more of a question. We discussed on how some of us who are working in higher ed might be eligible for sabbatical soon. If from our jobs, if that's an option, what year would you recommend, or which semester would you recommend if we were to take a sabbatical? What would be the best possible semester or year you'd recommend for that?
Well, you're going to plan that out in your timeline, but it depends on your research, and that you would talk to your chair. But if you need to go out to sites to interview, or if you need more time to do your data analysis, so, and put together your final defense. So it could be that when you're doing basically your data collection, or it could be when you're doing your data analysis. So you would need to decide that depending on what type of research you have, what you have, and how much it's going to take you. But your chair should be able to guide you on that. Okay.
Thank you.
Elias?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Sumbera. I actually learned that I had a great group. So really, really good advice. One of them was go back to other dissertations that are similar or alike. Like in this case, HSI, there's a plethora of information on HSI information. And I just need to go back and read other dissertations that kind of either rubbed into it, highlighted it, or really, had a deep dive and really dive into chapter 2, because you'll be able to see some of the references that they use and how they used it, and how you can probably incorporate some ideas, some thoughts, some knowledge around how you want to frame your chapter 2. And I just honestly, I didn't even know that. So that was very enlightening. So how am I going to approach this? I really don't know how we're all working, 40 plus. It's just really a matter of, I told my wife already when I started the program, I'll be absent sometimes, and she respects that. So I think I'll be okay, honestly.
So good, you're getting that support group. Yeah, it's just like anything. If you make a New Year's resolution, but you don't put it on the calendar, do you accomplish your goal? Yeah, not too many times. But if you do put it on your calendar, it's just like an appointment. You do it when it's on your calendar. You make it a priority. So you really need to plan out, when am I going to do my writing? It's very important. Some groups in the past have met as a team, and they just get on Zoom and they're all writing. They're not talking, they're not doing it. Occasionally somebody will have a question, but they dedicate time just to hold each other accountable. They come on Zoom and they work as a group to get it done, if that's their same time. All right, so be thinking about that. It really makes a difference. how you plan to do this process. And then you get to wear these fancy robes and get hooded. So here's some ideas. You know, basically, of course, we talked about being proactive. You've got to be, time management is crucial. We'll talk about not going down rabbit holes when you're doing your lit review, that you need to stay focused. And part of being focused is having that theoretical framework to keep you focused. Otherwise, you can go down rabbit holes after rabbit holes after rabbit holes. And then 2 months is gone. You said, gosh, I really need to get back to my dissertation, because there's so many interesting research articles out there that you will want to read. Really protect your time. When you schedule the time to do your dissertation, your assignments, you need to protect it. That's the most important for the next 3 years. And family, friends, everybody, you know, you'll be able to do it again, but you're trying to get to the next level in your career. Build your team. Who's going to help you stay on track? Who's going to hold you accountable from your cohort, your family? Where's your study team? Get with people that will hold you accountable, and everybody do it together. You have more fun that way. Okay. Ask plenty of questions in your classes to clarify, and try to tie your dissertation into every assignment. That way, when you're done with the coursework, you have your lit review done. Yes, Dolly.
Dr. Sumbera, I have a question. Do we have
Sure.
like a of a template so that we can create a timeline? Is there such thing?
Yeah, we'll get to, I think they have one. They didn't send it to you. If not, I think I might have connections to one. So I have a few that are pretty good that I can pull up from students that I've had. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem. All right. All right. You did get sent a checklist, right? Your checklist, your timeline checklist. I believe there's a checklist in there. That will help guide you. Use that checklist. There's other, you know, things that you can do, other resources. You have the library, you have the writing center. You have a lot of stuff online, you guys. There's so much stuff on dissertation. You know, dissertation, you know, mentor videos where they guide you through every chapter, and you can play them when you want. Like right before you write chapter 3, you might play a couple of them to remind yourself, oh yeah, that's what I need in my methodology. This is why it's important. This is how I connect it back to the lit review in chapter 1. Okay. And what's the purpose of that methodology chapter? Okay. And of course you have the EDD support team, right? You have a great team there that you can rely on, and ask for assistance and guidance. So let's go back a little bit, and I'm going to ask you to discuss first, what are some of your concerns at this point? And then basically report back to me 2 concerns from each group, and then 1 personal commitment. It could be to yourself, to your family, to the process, to your team. What is 1 personal commitment that you guys can come up with a report back? Think of one for you, and then, you know, you can report back at least 1 personal commitment to this dissertation process. So this is going to be about 3 minutes, a little bit shorter, so we can get out of here on time. So let me get you in your breakout groups. Okay, everybody, welcome back. Okay, which group wants to go first? 2 concerns and 1 personal commitment. What do you think? Oh, we don't have a shy group, do we? Because we're
No.
all, yeah.
Kelly has good notes. and can recap all the stuff that we were rambling about. So,
All
pretty well.
right. I guess that's me. I was in a group with Charles and Val. Let's see, our concerns were how to get enough sleep in between blocking off these times of dissertation writing. Another concern was how to organize everything. And Dr. Sumbera popped in and gave us a suggestion of using Evernote to organize everything and to stay on top. One personal commitment, Val mentioned about taking a sabbatical.
Okay.
Charles is not going to teach in summers. He's made that commitment to himself. And I am actually a night owl, so I'm the opposite of you. After everyone in my family goes to bed, I'm going to use those late nights to get some uninterrupted work done.
Wonderful. And you'll find too that as you get some of your methods, it'll work to your benefit, because you'll find that time, that space that you need. And I'll show you some pictures later how some of the students have utilized their space. So it gets kind of interesting. Okay, any other group want to share? What else out there? What are some more commitments and personal commitments and two concerns?
I think our main concern, Maritza and Miranda and me, were just the time, because we were saying like, we're, you shared that you woke up at 2 a.m. We're like, we're not those kind of people. And so how do we fit that into our already busy schedule? And so that was our main concern. And then, just balancing our workloads and our personal life and everything that's going on, because, as Miranda shared, things are unpredictable and we don't know what could happen within the next 2 years. But I think the commitment as a group was to try and hope, not try. We're going to get our dissertation done.
There you
so
go.
that we can graduate together. And so
Excellent.
the commitment to just carving out the time that we have to do to finish this, because realistically we have like 2 years left. And so we gotta put our foot to the ground and run now. So
Okay,
just
so
that
you
commitment to the cohort, honestly.
right. Thank you. Now, you see, time is an issue, right? And you have to do your work because you need to get paid. So think about this. I'm coming to a doctorate program. I'm working in a profession I probably enjoy. What is it that I want to be an expert in? How can I tie my dissertation into what I'm doing at work? Okay, that participatory action research. What is something that needs to be researched? This way, you can get a little bit done at work. Think about data collection, have something going on, or it's in line with your work. So you have to think smart about this. So when we talk about, we want you to do participatory action research, we mean that you're going to be leaders out there in the field. You're in a position already. You might be moving, but what is something that you can do to enhance your current positions? To give you an example, I have one gentleman, a candidate, who he does a lot of staff development with within his work, and he started up a new pilot for men of color, and he's researching that, but every day he gets to work on it. All right, so it is a part of his work. It's something new at his work, and then he's going to do his research on it. So this year is a pilot to get it going. Next year is when we do data collections. So he's already, thinking about how can I incorporate something within my work environment. Okay, so I have a hand up, Dolly. You're on mute.
I just put it in the chat that when you said that, Dr. Sumbera, I just had my 5th title in my head. Like, need to organize and focus my thoughts. Our team number 1, basically one of the concerns was physical health. And there's the physical health, family time, choosing our chairs and our readers. For the physical health, basically Walter is really encouraging us, and he's our cheerleader in that breakout room. And every time we leave, he's always saying positive, good things that we can do this. And just like what Crystalline said, I think that group commitment that we need to finish in 2 years so we can graduate together, that really hit me, because I don't want to walk the stage with people I don't know, and people that I've didn't share the journey with. I want to graduate with you guys, so I'm gonna finish in 2 years.
Wonderful commitment. Yes, hold each other accountable. Excellent. Anybody else would like to share? Okay, let's move on. Good job, you guys. That's exactly what you need to do. Work together, support each other, and move on this process together. All right, let's go over assembling a team. Now we have some people of completing, and they're celebrating, they're happy as can be. They still got a little work to do on their dissertation after dissertation's done to get it ready for publications. But guess what? They're done. With that process, they're going to submit it so they can get it published. Okay. So when you're assembling your team, one, you're going to pick a chair, but you just don't pick anybody. You want to pick somebody that is going to guide you and support you. What is it that you need? So when you're doing that, look at, I tend to be a little scattered. So maybe it would help me if I had a chair that really held me accountable and made, helped me build the structure. That I like somebody who communicates well, and they don't mind if I text them. Some chairs will mind if you text them. Everybody texts me all day long and all night long. But other chairs will say not past 3 o'clock, not on the weekends. Okay, so you have to find that information out. What's going to work for you? Where do you want to go next? Can they guide you into that field of expertise where you want to be an expert in? All right. Be sure to make sure that you're compatible with your chair. And next, make sure your committee is compatible with each other. Now, I've only had one bad experience with, committees where everybody wanted something different from the candidate, and the candidate was about ready to pull their hair out. One said they wanted an intro in front of each section. The other one said they didn't want it. And so we had to compromise. As a chair, they're going to get your committee on the same page. So you want somebody that can do that. So we came to a compromise. We did a smaller sentence of intro and made sure we had a concluding sentence. We didn't do a whole section. We introduced and closed each section. Real simply, not a large, 1 page or even a paragraph. It was very simple. So you've got to talk to them. So at that meet and greet, you want to get to know individuals, how you'll work on how they're going to support you. A lot of us, we meet at first once a week with the candidates until you get your topic, your questions, and you're ready to go to start doing your lit review. Then after that, we might move you to once a month or as needed, but definitely once a month. So is your chair going to be able to do that? Do they have the time to support you? So you have to take a look at that. So all those questions you can ask when we do meet and greet, and I was told it was on April 20th. So get your questions ready. Now the next one, after you assemble your team, you are the person responsible for communicating with your dissertation committee and chair. Remember, this is your dissertation. So it's not your chair's responsibility to initiate the forms, communicate. You're going to be doing that because it's part of the learning process. You're organizing how to develop a team in order to accomplish a task. Okay, so you're going to be doing that. You'll set up the calendar invites, because when you do calendar invites and you put your Zoom link there, guess what? You get to record the sessions. Then you can refer back to them in case you don't have to sit there and take notes the whole time. You can actually have a discussion. You go back and then you listen to it and then take notes from that. So you can have the recordings. So you will set up the Zoom sessions. You will ask the chair when's the best time to do that. And then when you get ready to do your proposal, you're going to back it up 2 weeks, give them 2 weeks to read. Some committees like 3. You schedule it, you turn in the forms to the department, you get everything going. Reminder, the chair will check with the committee to see if they have any concerns or issues, and then fill out the evaluation, whether you passed or you're proceeding to IRB, but it's still your responsibility to get those in. Okay, so make sure you're aware of that. All right, so committee questions. You have your chair. Now that's considered the first reader. And that's somebody who is in the core faculty. They're called core faculty. They might not teach a class, but they might have in the past, but they're core faculty, or even in the future. So those can be chairs. They're your main contact. They're going to guide you through it. They're going to say, okay, I think you're ready to get, your committee as an opinion on your questions. And you might send those out to your committee members to get feedback. But you don't do that until your chair says it's time to do that. Same thing with your lit review. Same thing when you get ready for your proposal. Your chair will guide you on that. Okay. The second reader, that's somebody, let's say your chair is I'm more qualitative study, but let's say you were doing a mixed method and you had some quantitative data analysis. I might suggest get somebody in your topic that does quantitative data analysis. That way you have that expert and they can give you that feedback for your methods. Okay, so that would be your second person. You want that person to be able to help you. It's not just any person. Can they support you in your dissertation journey with their expertise? Now, the third one is usually I recommend, but it's up to your chair. I recommend somebody in the field that's actually doing the work that you want to research, because they'll know the latest protocols, legislation. If you need a sample population to survey, they might have it. So you're looking for somebody that can connect you to the field within your area, but give you good feedback. So that would be their role. So now your chair will read your dissertation a lot. The second reader, depending on their expertise, will read certain sections more than the third reader. But their real role is to read it before your proposal and before your defense. They don't read it all the time. Your chair does. The third reader, same thing. They will read it before your proposal and before your defense, unless there's some kind of expertise that they can give you. And then your chair would recommend having them take a look at that section. Not the whole thing, but just a section. Any questions on that?
Could you repeat that last part? I got a little lost.
Okay, so let me go here. Let me stop sharing and share this one. I couldn't find the current list, you guys, and I requested it from the department. So as soon as I get it, I'll have Stacy Ortiz send it out to you. The website has changed, but all right. So here's core faculty. This is old because we have new people, but here's some core faculty, and that would be your first readers. Okay. We have affiliate faculty, and that would be your second readers. The second readers won't read your dissertation, and the third reader won't read your dissertation a lot. They'll read it before, the 3 weeks before your proposal, and the 3 weeks before your final defense. Okay, Your core faculty, who is your chair, they read it all the time and give you feedback. So you want to find, usually OneDrive is the best to put it in. Don't use Google Docs because the formatting is horrible when you change it. OneDrive is the best to use when you're doing your template and writing. It keeps it consistent. Google Docs, I've had nightmares with some of my students that use that. It just takes too much time to reformat. So when you're writing your dissertation, remember, you and your chair will know this material inside and out. When you give it to your second and third reader, your other committee members, they might say, I got lost. I'm not clear. So be sure to realize they haven't been walking through the process with you, your second and third readers. So when you write, you've got to walk them through the process in your writing. Does that make sense? Questions on that? So second reader, why would you pick a second reader? Committee member.
Well, somebody that would have a fresh perspective, right? Somebody, because I would guess if you're saying the first reader is more familiar with the work, they may overlook something, I'm guessing. I don't know.
Yeah, because they're looking with you all the time. They're advising you all the time, right? So they're pretty close to it. So second reader, I like that, a new perspective. What else could you use a second reader for?
Definitely a new angle, a new twist, fresh thoughts. I know that my chair really knows my topic already, so I was thinking of my, the second reader. It would be an amazing person that would bring a whole new scope, right?
Yeah. So let's say
your
your first reader is an expert in, let's say special ed or special ed strategies. But the second reader, they're efficient in inclusion. That's their area. So now you combine the two and guess what? You got a powerful team, right? That's a very powerful team. And then you get somebody in the field who's actually maybe a director of special ed. And now that team becomes even more powerful. Okay. Now you don't always get that. But sometimes it's just, okay, they're educational leadership in K-12, but that's still good. Okay. Dolly.
For me, my concern would be because I wanted to do mixed methods, and so I want to have somebody in the committee who is an expert when it comes to statistical analysis.
Okay, good. Excellent. Because if I had you, I would say, yep, I'm not dealing with quantitative. I know how to do it, and I taught it when I was in the doctorate program. I was a TA for it, but it's not my thing. And you really have to have somebody who's passionate, that can give you, that quick directions. Okay, so let's move on. All right. So there are some guidelines that you should take a look at in your doctorate policy guidelines, page 28 and 29 and page 30. So they're the dissertation chair role and committee roles, the members. So please take a look at those in there. I think I might have a link. Let me see. Let me see if it still works. Okay. Let's go down here, 2030. Close your eyes. All right, here we go. All right, so it kind of looks like this. Where's my blow up? Oh, it's online. So the role of a dissertation chair, it goes through it, what their commitment is, trying to get you through in 3 years. They sign all your documentations. They do your annual academic report. Once you get a chair, they do your academic report. They sign off on that. They report your progress to departments. They, basically, if there's any dispute with your committee, they resolve that. Your dissertation chair is like the last word. Okay, so read through these. And then we have basically a dissertation committee. Look at the list difference. You have a few points there. We got 2 pages on dissertation chair. And that's what I was trying to make a point, that these are not as often tapped into. Your chair is tapped into all the time, okay? To support you. Yeah, questions on chair or committee members? Okay.
I do
Okay.
have a question about the third reader. Could you say a little bit more about like who you've seen selected as third readers before? Is it usually someone who the students like really familiar with, that they work with, or is it just someone that
Not necessarily. Let's see, I have one who is the president of a community college, and they're interested in change in the English learner program, the transition from high school to college. And so that's who we got as a third member. I have another one who is the fiscal person at a district office, and their research had to do with the LCAP. And I had a state union representative who the candidate was researching the FAM and different language that was in the FAM in consideration with lecturers. So they got experts that could help guide them if they had a question. Okay. And other ones would be, I did get, maybe a superintendent, my district lead, or in the university, I've had provosts, department chairs. So those could be third readers where they worked. So they did choose somebody who that worked. And I only had one issue from somebody who worked with the person when things didn't go right. So be cautious of that too. Okay, Val?
This may seem like a silly question, but are people who are third readers, are they compensated, or are they just agreeing to do this from the kindness of their heart for us, who maybe they want to see us succeed?
Yes, they do it from the kindness of their heart, third readers. But as a candidate, as a student, you should give them something at the end. So a lot of people will give them gift cards, send them flowers, whatever it might be. They've done that for, pretty much for the third reader or even all their committee members. So, think about that, because they do put in a lot of work they don't have to do it. Okay. Elias?
So my question is, my first reader is core, in other words, faculty, right here at CSUSB, and
Yeah.
and on that list. So can my second and third reader be other faculty professors from other Cal States, or does my
They need to be, the second readers need to be an affiliate list. They need to apply if they're going to be a second reader.
Okay, and that would be true for the third as well, right?
The third, no, that's usually an outsider.
Oh, okay, I got what you're saying. I see. So
Yeah.
so the second, they just need to apply, and the third, it can be an outside
Yeah.
person, right? Okay, very well. Thank you.
Yeah, we still give it to the department and they make sure they have to approve it, but it's not a lengthy, difficult process. Okay, so as soon as you fill out that form with your committee members, they check your committee members. Okay, You know, they have to have a doctorate, and somebody that's going to support you, not just a friend, you guys. Okay. All right, so let's move on. Now that you got your committee, you have your chair, at least your chair, then what do I need to do? So basically, again, what I said, that it was your responsibility. So when you get there and you have your chair, what you want to do is set up a meeting, see when the best time for them is. You schedule the meeting, and then have an agenda every time you meet with them of what you have accomplished and maybe some questions. By the end of the agenda, establish this is what I need to do before I meet with you next time. Get some clarification, and then you do that, you come back. But you should always have the agenda, how you're doing it. And that could be in your timeline. It could be in whatever format you want, but each time you meet with them, you know, I did this. Oh, you know what? I need help. These are 10 things I need to do to set up my research, to recruit participants, and you go through it. How do I do this? Is this okay? Is this okay? Does it look good? Does my questions look good? Is my email, does that look good? So you go through it with them. Okay. So figure out what the best is, then ask them, when's the best time to contact you? Are you okay with text? Do you prefer phone call? Is it only email? Do you like in-person meetings versus Zoom meetings when we meet? How do you want to correspond? I would advise you to at least do a regular meeting time, establish it and put it on the calendar for the next six months at least, so they know ahead of time. It's hard when candidates say, oh, can we meet this week? And then I have to try to find a time. That's really hard. If it's on there and it's consistent, I don't book anything. So try to get on their calendars and see, they want to go bi-weekly, weekly, monthly. Now, you can, sometimes it's nice to reward your individual chair. Say, you know, you want to meet for lunch, talk about it, and get them lunch. You don't have to do that. You know, I've had that a couple of times, and it was really nice. It kind of broke my day up, but I really needed it that week. They must have knew. But you know, you can meet at a coffee shop or a restaurant, but remember, you want to stay focused on what's going on, so pick a good place. So again, it's always your responsibility to communicate it, because this is your journey, not your chair's journey. All right, so now, yeah, go ahead.
It's not that important, but I'm just curious. How many students does a chair have at a time?
We're allowed to take 3 from every cohort. So I'm finishing up probably about 3 this semester. And then, yeah, so it all depends. Some people have 1 and some people have a lot. So I think Murillo, myself, and Acevedo probably have we have a good chunk. We try to help out when we can, when people can't find somebody. Committees, we have a lot of people who just do committees. They don't do chairs because they prefer that. But we just added like 6 new core faculty and a lot of different expertise. So, you know, there's a lot of new faculty that might not have anybody, and that might be the way to go. But get it in your expert area. Everybody, if they take you, it means they have time for you. Okay, we're not going to just take you and be your chair and leave you hanging. So find a chair that works for you. But we did add like 6 more new core faculty that are eager to start, you know, chairing and be your chair. So I think once you meet and greet them, you'll be able to find the one that fits you. We're going to have enough for you to decide on that. Okay. But yeah, everybody has a little bit different. Yes, Kelly.
If I'm not mistaken, the meet and greet is on a Saturday that we have class with you. Would you be letting us like out a little bit early that day so we can attend, or?
Of course, because I have to attend too.
Okay. I just want to double check. I'm like over here panicking, like, oh my gosh.
No, we know. I knew it was a date. I couldn't remember because they told me, but it's already in there in the syllabus. That's part of the dissertation process, right? And so we will do that together. So yes, you don't have to worry about that. Okay, back here. All right, so now we're going to go to the forms. You had some forms mailed to you, correct? In a folder. I don't know if it's in a folder, links. How did you guys get it? Anybody?
I think Dr. Escalante sent it to us in an email, like
Okay.
all the forms. Or was it
Yeah.
Candace? I think it was Candace who sent it.
Okay, so you should have links. You're going to need to get those, find those links right now. We'll go through the forms. So if you have any questions, we can go through that. Now, forms can be submitted via Adobe Sign. So if you don't know how to use Adobe Sign, please stop by the department and they'll give you the resource of how to do Adobe Sign. Don't email it. And this is why, unless your chair really wants it. You email it, they sign it, and the next person can't sign it because, you know, for some strange reason it wasn't done. They locked it down. So it's best if you do it through Adobe Sign. You put the signers, and then basically down at the bottom where it says director signature, they're the last signature. You don't have to run it to the department. It goes straight to them to sign. What's a good idea though, when you do put it in Adobe Sign, is to email your committee members. I just put in, you know, in Adobe Sign this, please look out for Adobe Sign document and sign it as soon as you can. So give them heads up, call them, whatever the communication style is, and send it to them, okay? When completing the forms, remember, they're going to ask you for your student ID. Sometimes they ask you for your grade or GPA. You need to type in and fill the form all the way out except for the signature slots. So you fill it out except for those signature slots with your all the committee name, and then they just sign next to it. Otherwise, they might sign in the wrong spot. Okay, and then you set it up for them. All right, before we take a break, we're going to look at the forms. And let me get to my folder here. All right, forms. We'll go over Form 1 first. Okay, so Form 1. And basically you had gone through this and you should have initialed all these qualifying exams. I will maintain. Did you guys do this already? Ah, okay.
I believe it's due by the end of the semester. It's on our like
Okay.
checklist.
So you would read through and sign each one of them. It kind of gives you what the expectations are that you'll be doing. So before qualifying exams, this is what you're going to be doing. Dissertation proposal, this is what you need to do. So not only are you initialing that, you're going to keep it as a guideline to help you make your timeline. Okay. And then IRB, this is what I need to do. It gives you links. My final defense, this is what I need to do. People forget to do their dissertation brochure during the final event. That's really important, especially if you're going to go to conference, present your dissertation. You need to make sure you do that. Again, the portfolio, and then graduation, what you need to do. So you initial each one of these, and then basically you would turn that in at the end. Okay, what questions might you have here? So one of the things I want to point out, just in general academics, I will continually enroll in appropriate courses, including during each summer session until I complete my dissertation. Once you complete your classes, you must be in a continuous enrollment course every single session while you're writing your dissertation. Even though you've done all your coursework, you have to maintain continuous enrollment. So you will need to sign up for that course. It's a little bit cheaper, but it's still a course you have to pay for. Okay. Again, after, let's say something happens and you go past 5 years and you haven't finished your dissertation, you will need to repeat courses. So you don't want to do that. Okay, after 5 years, it's considered courses are obsolete, they're outdated. You'll need to take a course. I picked up 2 students who lost their chairs and they've had to do that. It's not fun because you're paying more money and more time's taken away from writing. Okay, so make sure you don't go past 5 years. You want to get done in 3 years, but definitely you cannot go past 5 years. Okay. Qualifying exams, I think they mentioned probably an orientation, but qualifying exams are going to be on your courses. Right now, they're scheduled to be on your courses. Thus, if you're not taking away the different maybe models, components of each of the courses, you're really going to have a rough time on those qualifying exams. But if you're organized and once you're done with each course, what were the main key concepts? Because we'll all tell you what's going to, the topic or the area that qualifying exams are on. You need to make sure why it's fresh in your mind to kind of outline, okay, what are the components I need to keep in my head and utilize from each of the classes. We have a pretty good passing rate, but if you're able to study less, it means a lot of students have to stop doing their dissertation to study for qualifying exams. We want to try to get you guys not to do that, where you're studying for your qualifying exams while you're in the course. Okay, and taking good notes, and then you just have to refresh it. All right, if we can do that, it works to your benefit. Okay.
Is this something that you will be, I don't know that this has happened intentionally. I'm not saying there hasn't been information shared, but I don't know that it's been outlined the way you just described up until now. So we may have to backtrack a little bit, but is that how?
Yeah, it should ask every professor before you leave their class what might be on the qualifying exam for your course. Just ask them as a group, you know, that last couple of weeks. Can you review what might be on there so we can walk away with it? I do it, a couple other professors do it. Scientific inquiry, that definitely will be something you'll need to do, study for. That's usually one of the areas. One of your methods class, either qualitative or quantitative, definitely will be one of the questions. My class or Dr. Wilson's class, we swap those. They're pretty close. So they're kind of interchangeable. But basically you will have 3 questions that you'll need to prepare for. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when I have you, but just make sure you ask the professors what might be on the qualifying exam in your class. Okay. Let's see, dissertation proposal, your proposal and your seminar 2 class will go over chapters 1, 2, and 3 and tell you exactly, basically each of the, what's in them. So just know for that portion, we'll have IRB, final defense. We'll be going over the final defense in the seminar 3, okay? So I'm not going to go over those right now. All right, so that's that form. Let me see what the next one is. The next one that you should be looking at is Form 2. So Form 2 is your academic progress. So once you get your chair, basically they'll fill this out to report your academic progress. Now, if you're not advancing in your dissertation writing, it's going to show up here. And then probably the department will call you in. You're not meeting expectations. What can we do to support you? Okay. But you would fill out all this top stuff. Your chair would fill out this bottom. If you're meeting it, they'll add some comments. You fill out this part. If you have done your qualifying exam, what term? If you did your dissertation proposal, what term? And then here. And then your faculty member will do excellent, good, requires something else. Molly, or Kelly, sorry.
I noticed that we have this form due at the end of this semester, at least on our schedule that they gave us. If we don't have a chair yet, or I mean, it's only our second semester, so.
The first one, prior to this semester, the first one was done by the department. So maybe Stacy Ortiz did them. I'm not sure, but the first time it was done by the department. So that part, I don't know if it's changed. So you guys might want to ask the department, maybe Stacy, who is filling out this academic progress when you haven't been required to choose a chair yet, and they don't know you, right? They have no idea what you're doing yet. So it's usually not, I usually don't fill them out to next year, next fall, but check, okay? Because I think it's probably Stacy that will do the first one. Elias, you had your hand up?
I did, but I think it was answered. Some of these forms look a little bit premature where we're at right now in our timeline. But it looks like these forms will come to maturity like next year, right? Okay, that's what I thought.
Well, the first two this year, and the you have your committee too that I think is due too.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, the committee one is due at the end of summer.
Yeah. So there's a few due now. And you've received that timeline. Okay. So now Form 3, this is for your qualifying exam. You don't just take your exam. What you do is you get permission. You check with your committee. Is this a good date? They all agree. Then you fill out this form of your date. You sign it. They give everything. Everybody signs it. And basically for your qualifying exam, then they let you know that you're ready to do your qualifying exam. Okay, so student signature, and then it has to do with signature for the program specialist. I think that's Stacy Ortiz, and then the director. So you have two directors, co-directors. Okay, so this needs to be filled out, and then you're ready to do your qualifying exam. And then Candace will schedule that, and she'll give you a date. I think it's Proctor U, where they see you. Now with Proctor U, you'll get one piece of paper, right? So my suggestion, outline each of the 4 questions they give you, and then start writing. So if you get tired, the outline's there. And we'll go over that more, okay? All right, so Form 4, and we're just going through these, is basically completion of your qualifying exam and advancement to candidacy for your doctorate degree. That means you're really ready. You're ready to start writing and everything else. It asks if you passed it, did not pass it, all the specifications. You fill it all out, get your signature, director's signature, and then this has to be filed before you move on to your dissertation. because you're not a doctorate candidate until you do your qualifying exam. Okay, so you have to be advanced to candidacy. Okay. All right, let's close this. Now, the dissertation forms, that's kind of just the program forms. And then you have the dissertation forms, which are form 5 through 9. And the first one is your committee. So that's one you're going to need to get filled out, right? So after meet and greet, you should be able to at least get your chair in here. And then usually by next December, you have your whole committee. Okay, so you at least have your chair in here, and when they approve your committee members, you get that done. But you fill it all out. If they agree, you put their name in here, and then they sign and date. And you do that in Adobe Sign. So as you can see, Adobe Sign is going to be your friend. So really get to know how to utilize that. And that's, you know, you're going to be using a lot as a leader. So that's always good to be able to practice it now. Now this is schedule of your proposal. So once your chair says you're ready, you give your committee 3 weeks to read. You have to fill out this form, put your title in, your committee members sign, and your dissertation chair needs to sign it. And then you send it in, and that way the department knows when everybody is moving to the next level. They finish their proposal, or they're doing their proposal. Now, to let them know you finished and passed, there's actually a form that the committee puts their comments on, and they sign, and you turn it in. And again, you would do Adobe Sign so they could do this, or sometimes your chair will do it. If there's any changes, they'll put the changes here, and then you get those, sign it all, and you turn it in. You see how it's you got to document everything in a form, because they have to keep these forms, and then they turn them in, because this is a terminal degree, right? So they got to have evidence of each stage of the process. So without these forms, you know, they could be questioned when they do accreditation. Well, how do you know? So make sure you get these forms in so it's easier on the department. This is the final defense, again, filled out by your committee, signed by your chair. And then the 9 is the one you're really looking for. The 9 is the one when you've done your defense, they record that you passed unanimously by your committee, and or steps you need to take to pass. You might have modifications, and don't get upset if you have modifications, because it does happen a lot. And then they would sign. Okay, so that's the one you're looking for. So right off the bat, because most of the modifications say you need to get an editor. So if you're not using Grammarly, or you can't use ChatGPT to write your dissertation, but ChatGPT does do a good job finding all those grammar and helping you edit your dissertation. But do not use it to write, because it will show up, and you don't want that to happen. Okay, because they will know. They have certain technology that flags that right away. But Grammarly, if you're not using that, download it. There's a free app, or I get the one you have to pay, you know, $20 or something. That works a little bit better. Check every single paragraph in your writing while you're going through the program. Get used to Grammarly. That way in your dissertation, you're checking every single paragraph. Okay, don't leave it up to your chair. That's too much work on them. You know, I think we don't get that much, you guys. We don't, it's not like we get paid. We get a release, a course release, but we've spent that much time over the 2 years with you. So really, it's not the chair's job to edit your paper. You either need to get an editor, use Grammarly and do it yourself, or something else. Now, I wasn't very good at it, so I chose to use Grammarly and a couple other programs so I could get better at editing my papers. That was me. Others get editors. It is expensive, or you can edit each other's if you're good at that. You can choose to swap that out. So either one. Questions on forms. Any questions on forms? Okay, there's one list left, and then we'll go take a little break. All right, did you guys get sent this? Milestone checklist?
I believe
No?
so. And it's
Okay.
also in our when we did our library visit, it's
Mhm.
also in there, I think.
Okay, great. So this has all the forms on it, but it says fall 1. Basically, did you do this? Spring, year 1, that's this year. Here's form 1 and form 2 is due, correct? Have you completed? Did you do this? Summer, form 5 is due. Okay, fall 2, form 3 and form 4 is due. See how it just guides you right through it? So you need to put this in a folder and keep track of it. Really use it. After each semester, come here and make sure you know what you need to turn in that semester. Here's the annual review. Your chair will be doing that one. Submit your IRB either for a class or if you've done your proposal. Your IRB isn't done to after your proposal, but you can do the city certificate. Probably next fall would be good if you're on track. And then here, if you're filing for graduation, there's a grad check, completion of your dissertation, and then you're going to submit your dissertation through scholarly work. Okay. Yes, Ashley.
I see with the IRB and all these forms, is it possible to start next fall? Because I want to start my research in the fall and I've already kind of gathered everything and I want to just, is there a way I could speed that process up? Because
You got it. You have to take your qualifying exams first. And qualifying exams, I think they go out around October or November. You can check with your department, the EDD department, but there's really no speeding it up. You have to get through your qualifying exams first. And so you have to get certain classes done before you can take the qualifying exam. Okay. Any questions? So, and you can't begin your research until after you done your proposal defense, chapters 1 through 3. So there's no beginning. So I don't see you getting all that done. There's no way you could start in the fall. Okay, so you have to take the qualifying exams. Then you got to do your proposal defense, chapter 1 through 3. After you've passed that, then you get to submit IRB. You wait for their approval, and then you're ready to do your research. Does that make sense? So you're looking at next fall to collect data if you're on track. Not this fall, but 2025. Okay. Yes, Rianne.
If IRB, just say if we don't do the expedited version, but we have to do a convened version, would that push back our time as far as data collection?
Yeah, so if you're doing a full IRB review, I think the deadline is May. You have to have everything in. Let me look online. I had it the other day. And we'll get the exact date, and it'll be about around the same time next year. So IRB team.
And two part of that question. So does that mean that also we have to meet with our entire committee to go into, I know King said he's the director of IRB at our school. So does that mean King sits with our committee as well as to discuss the convened IRB?
Mm-mm. No, and we'll go over that in seminar 2.
Oh.
Oh, so here we go. Let me get it up and just get you the timelines. Okay, so institutional review board on the website. And then it should have, no, that's not it. Student survey. Oh, that's institutional research. Okay, let me go back. I thought I marked it, but I guess I didn't. Research. Dates, here it is. Okay, so IRB submission, that's what I was missing, that one word. Okay. So institutional review board, I typed in. So for a full review, it says up here, they cut it off at May 11th. Everything has to be done by May 11th. From May 11th to August 23rd, they do not do full IRB reviews. Okay. So you have to plan to submit your IRB maybe in April next spring, or the spring that you're gonna, before you start the fall. So all this has to be planned. So when you're doing your timeline, come in here and look, and they should have dates here. These are the dates for this year. And be careful because it has September 22nd, but look over here. You must submit your IRB application by September 8th. People will look at this date and then all of a sudden they missed it. They have to wait to this date. So make sure when you look, you come over here and see when you must submit it. Okay. So use this, and I'll put the link in there to plan your timelines when we get there. There you go. So you'll have that. We'll go over this in the next one, but if you go human subject ethics training, there's your city certificate, okay? So yeah, the timeline is important because there's a lot of pieces you need to get on there. It's why we're reviewing all the forms, everything that you need to do prior to talking about the timeline, okay? All right, do you guys need a little break? Or are you okay?
Before we go on break, what was the name of the form you were using before this? The one with the highlighted blue?
That was the checklist, I think.
And you
But,
say
yeah,
we can find it where?
Somebody said it was in your forms already.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's a checklist. So why don't you take a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back. 46 after. Sorry, make it for the 3 years, knowing that basically some of you probably won't keep pace and some of you might go ahead. And that's fine. Okay. All right, so we got a lot to get through on this part here. I'm just brushing over because you'll have later courses and everything else on it. But I just want to have it here as a resource for you. So your literature review, there's a lot of things that go in there, but how you need to know how you're going to organize it. There's several different ways, and we'll talk about that. You need, before you start doing a search, you need to know what you're searching for. Get some keywords, some criteria, some topics, read a little bit, get some more topics, some more keywords. Go and get the librarian. She probably came over and talked to you guys during orientation, but go to the library. Get an individual one-on-one appointment with the librarian and tell them what you're interested in. They'll get you all kinds of resources, help guide you to the right journals to look in. All right. With your lit review, it's not 10 articles. It's not 20 articles. You're looking at, honestly, the time you get done with your lit review, probably 100 that you've looked through and tried to get components out of. So different, you might get some meta-analysis, you might get some articles, you might get some books, whatever it is. So dissertations are good to has a sample. Find a good dissertation that you like the format and model. They have good wording, something similar to what you're doing. Use it as a model. Okay. All of this, the searching, is before the literature review. You don't just start writing a literature review. You have to outline it. You have to discuss it with your chair, make sure you're on topic, then you start writing. All right. And your lit review, the main thing I can say, it's not a report. It's not a summary of literature. And we'll take a look at that. So this just goes through some of the things, the search process. Make sure when you're reading the articles, you're taking notes. You're getting quotes. You're paraphrasing those quotes. You're gonna learn a lot of that in my class. Synthesize all your notes and who said what and are they alike? Did they disagree? Who disagreed? Who had similar thoughts, outcomes? So all this you'll create a funnel in your lit review. You start broad and then you get to specifics, and by the end you've guided your reader to say, oh, now I know why they're studying this topic and why they chose these research questions in their method. Okay, if your readers can't come to that conclusion, you've got to re-look at your lit review. So there's different ways to organize yourself. Zotero is what library resource that we have, and it's free. EndNote is one that a lot of people like, but you have to pay. Some use Excel, and I have an example, next slide. Some just use folders in the Google Drive. It kind of gets, you can get away with it, but it depends on you as a person. Is Lisa Bartell still your librarian? Did they say who your librarian is, you guys?
No. It's still Lisa.
Yes.
Okay. So she is wonderful. She'll sit down with you. She'll get you so far along in how to search on your topic. It'll save you at least 2 months. Please set up an appointment with her, go in there and really learn how to search so you're not wasting time and you're not going down rabbit holes. That's the biggest waste of time for most of the candidates. Here's an example of a lit review matrix. You have the author, you have this person did themes. So student-teaching relationship, instructional design, school structure, okay? Wish I would have remembered what, I think it was engagement. They were looking at engagement. That's what it was. And then they have some key points over here, their notes. So you can put notes in here, however you want. This is Excel. This is an example of Excel. Here's another person, how they did it. They were paper-based. So their walls were covered and this worked for them. It would drive me crazy, but it worked for them. And here's another one, citation, topic, and they put the quotes in. All right, so basically you don't just read an article, you've got to make notes. I know when I went through it, I did this, but what really helped me, I did 1-page summaries on each of the articles. And that helped me, with quotes, methods, anything else. And then I just put them in a notebook. And then I used EndNote for the other components. Okay. You need to be able to communicate with your chair what you have read, how many articles you have read, and when you go in there, tell them, synthesize what you have read and tell them what you came up with. You know, 5 of the researchers, whoever they were, believe this. However, I have one contrasting research that stated this. Start talking like a scholar, okay, in your classes and with your chair. When you're putting the literature together, ask some questions. These are good questions just to print out, put up, and every time you read an article, ask these questions. What do scholars say about the topic? What are the ongoing debates? Who agrees? Who disagrees? What are the ideas they agree and disagree on? What hasn't been said in this topic? What else do we need to know about this topic? And then what are the gaps? And the gaps can be found in future research. Sometimes they'll say, you know, this needs to be continued to study in this area. And you'll read about their gaps that they found at the beginning in chapter 1. Significance of the study, right? They'll tell you what the gap is. Okay. Your lit review can be organized sequentially, like if it's historically, you can do it that way. Topically, by themes. What are the common components, maybe in a theory or theoretical framework? Methodology, qualitative, quantitative, mixed method. This is what's been done in this area. Or theoretical, by your theoretical framework. So there's many ways you can organize your lit review. Here's another example of a lit review matrix, more for action research. This piece is more for action research. You can see that they have, they have the authors. This right here is the research question, the variables that they looked at, actions, what they did within the study, data collection methods, and their data analysis methods. Okay. So here's somebody organizing their lit review. Again, paper-based. It doesn't matter. This works for some people. Others, it does not. Okay. Questions about that real quick? Any questions? All right, so now when you're writing, you want to think about how you put all the stuff in your lit review tables together. So you might ask, what do experts in the field say about the topic? And you see the results of Hester study contradict the findings of Smith, and you would cite it and do everything else. I just made it simple here. What are the common opinions? So this is just some examples that I put in there so you can kind of get a look. This is academic writing, and you put the citations and stuff. I'm not summarizing the articles. I'm comparing, contrasting, finding the gaps, and stating key points within the literature, the current literature. Okay. There is a literature rubric. Did you guys get the literature rubric in your forms? Let me show you what it looks like. I would look over this before you do any lit review in class. So it has, you know, coverage, synthesis is huge, what they want you to do. Methodology, significance of the research, and rhetoric, okay? So there's a lot of good things in the documents. All right. Do you guys have this one? I will put it in chat. So this is a lit review rubric. Take a peek at that. And put it in your files because you'll need it. I know it's late. Hang in there, you guys. We're almost there. I'll give you some talking time.
Did it come up as, I'm trying to see if it said.
I
It said
don't
no longer available on my end.
Okay, so let me see if I have it in my files. I can put it in chat. Hang on a minute. Let me get that and download it. I think there was a download button. Yeah, okay.
And can I just ask a question? Because I am looking through the one document, because I always assume that maybe I overlooked
Uh-huh.
these things, but you know, like some of the things you're like, well, did they give you this or that? And not really, you know, like, yeah. So, but thank you so much.
So I will put them
That's-
all in I will put everything we went over in a folder, and
Mhm.
I'll put it for our class on the front page. So then you can download it from there, okay? When you come to the first class for me, it'll all be on the front page. I usually do that. So that way you'll have it all. What I have, you will have. All right, chat, let me upload this form. Okay, what is it? Suggested literature, okay. All right, there you go. There's that one. We moved a lot of files, and that's why, you know, I don't know what they used to before. They'd put it all in the folder, give me the link, give you the link, so we could go through it together, but they didn't do that. They just sent me an email, so I'm not sure what they sent you, is my question. So that's why I keep saying it. I apologize for that, but
Oh
I
no,
just want
that's
to
a
make
good
sure.
question, because some
Yeah.
of this stuff I've never seen. So that
Okay. Yeah, so I'm just not sure I'm not sure if I'm looking at the same thing. Okay. This right here, I put in here as examples of how they're connecting ideas. So take a look at that, you know, in addition. However, academic writing is not just about summer, it's again, comparing it to the other ones, what people are saying, what is the latest trends out there in the research? So these are some different ways, and these I put in there for examples. Here's in contrast to this view, for example, they put in something. So moving from general claim to specific example, this you would want to use. Using meta-analysis, how do I do that? And you've seen this in papers where they have a ton of people. And why would I want to do this? Why would I put so many references to one statement? Who knows? Why do I want to put so many citations to one statement I made?
Because they all
What is
say
it? Yeah, what kind of strength does that give that statement?
there's more validity to that research.
Yeah, because it's, you know, 79, 83, all the way to 91, people are saying the same thing. Okay, that makes a difference. Now, if it's just all 1 year, you know, I would kind of question it. But look at the different years it's covering. And then when you just have one, okay, that might be an outliner, right? That's an outliner of the information. So take a look at that. It's just a different type of writing. All right. So again, here's another example. Read through that. So when you have a paragraph like this, somebody who doesn't know this topic, does it help them?
It does, because it gives the front and the back side of whatever they're talking about.
Right. So when I say you have to guide your readers for your research, you need to spell it out, but not lengthy, right? You drag this out for a page and a half, you're going to lose them. You have to synthesize this. Get where if you can say it in a paragraph, say it in a paragraph. If you need 3 paragraphs, okay, 3 paragraphs. So get it down to where it makes sense. You have enough information to guide your readers, and then you're moving on to the next step, okay? Now this one, they had to do it in 2. But again, it has a lot of information just in this 2 paragraphs. I think there's like 10 different citations, maybe more, in 2 paragraphs. So the citation gives your statement strength, because chapter 2 is not your opinion. You cannot just write something without citing it. Chapter 2 is not your opinion. It's what's out there in the literature, a synthesis of the literature. So you need to cite it. The only time you give your opinion in your dissertation is chapter 5, and that's when you have fun. It's the only time. Okay, so here's some more examples. So collect examples when you're reading of good paragraphs, how they stated and synthesize the information together. Use that as a model when you're writing yours. It will make your dissertation process go quicker. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to take a peek at a few dissertations. We're just going to look at chapter 2. We're almost done. How is it structured? Look at the headings. What's the purpose of chapter 2? Who can tell me what the purpose of chapter 2 is? What do you think? So by the end, see if you can come up, what is the purpose? I haven't given it to you yet. How did they synthesize the literature? They compare and contrast. They use transition sentences. Did they talk about the gaps? What was the tense in chapter 2 that you're going to look at? And is there anything about chapter 2 that basically you can highlight? All right, so let me give you, there's going to be 4 groups, and they're long. I don't know why they're so long, but when I looked at them, I'm like, oh, I should have did a quick link. I'll put these in chat. And when you, message is too long, of course. I have to put one at a time. Sorry, because the links are so long. Okay, so I'm not sure what group you're going to be in. There's one.
We can access them too in the copy of the PowerPoint that you gave us by clicking.
Oh, can you? Did it come
Yes.
out right? I was hoping it would, but I wasn't sure. Okay, so does everybody have the PowerPoint? They can access them? Okay, so we're looking at it. So I want you to pick one that you would like to take a look at for chapter 2, and try to split. If there's already 5 in that group, try to pick another group. And let me get here so I can make the groups and you can pick your own. So think of one that you want to do. Four groups. Okay, so go to the 3 dots and then say, pick the group that you want and go ahead and go in. You have about 10 minutes. Let's take a look at each of these when we come back. See if you can answer some of those questions. We got some people in room 1, some in room 4. We need some in room 2. We got some in room 3.
I'm sorry, how do we pick? We just go to the room?
Yeah, you say join either room 1, 2, 3, or 4. So if you go to breakout groups, go to the 3 little dots.
All right.
Which one do you
2.
want, Charles?
2,
I can put
2.
you in. 2?
All right.
Okay.
Thanks.
Put me
I do
anywhere,
too.
Dr. Sumbera, wherever, it doesn't matter.
Okay,
Please, thank you.
let's see.
Oh, I see.
There you go. Veronica, do you know which one you want to go in? Oh. Okay. Would help if I unmuted myself. So welcome back. Getting late. Looking at these articles, just real simple. A process that you would want to do is look at the table of contents, see where they're taking you in the lit review, go read the intro. Did anybody notice when you read like the first line, they kind of gave you a preview of what they're going to talk about in the paragraph? So that's your topic sentence, right? So they have that topic sentence right there in the beginning of each of the paragraphs. They have a topic sentence. Then they had supporting evidence within the middle. They might have compared and contrast. They might have talked about what is a key point. Whatever it was, they gave you evidence in that middle part. And then their concluding sentence, they either summarize what they want you to walk away with, or they did a transition sentence to the next paragraph. Okay, so in chapter 2, what are some of the things you notice about the structure? How was it organized? Historically, by themes, by theoretical framework? How was it organized?
Yeah, that's kind of what we saw with our reading. I don't even remember the name of it, but it kind of started, like you said, with the statement, topic sentence. There was an overview of the chapter, then it was broken down by studies. They talked about the instruments used in the studies. There was a section where they covered the findings. Sometimes you use the word explored, so findings or exploration. And then there were recommendations, and they just repeated that through 4 sections in the lit review.
Okay, anyone else?
I think ours had a more like broad approach. It wasn't so much they repeated it in each section like Charles was describing, but they did have an intro. They had some background, some framework, so both conceptual and theoretical. Then they went into like each of their related topics and did, subsections like that. They had a section at the end, which I wanted to read more, but that was called qualitative disclosure, which I think gets into like, is there anything about the author question that you had asked us, in which they talked about like their own subjectiveness and their own place in why they wanted to do this research. And then lastly, they finished the chapter 2 with restating or stating their research questions. So like framing it for the next section.
Great. So after looking at chapter 2, who can tell me what is the purpose of chapter 2? What do you think? What are they doing in chapter 2?
It seems like they are laying the foundation for their question. Or like, why is the research important, basically?
Mhm. So if you can think of a funnel, what they're doing is they're leading the reader to every component within their research, why they're doing what they're doing. They're not only examining the current literature out there, comparing, contrasting, telling you some of the key points, but they're leading you to why they chose their questions, why they chose their topic, why they chose, they're going to be choosing their methodology, why they chose the sample population, and their way they're going to conduct their research. So all of it is leading the reader so they come up with the same conclusion that you came up with and your chair supported. All right. So if you can get anybody to read that section and they go, oh, I know why you're doing this. That's what you want to do. You have all the literature there to support any of your findings, any of your recommendations. The literature is there. Okay. And you'll revise that. What about tense? We're almost done, you guys. What about the tense? What did you see?
It's written in past tense.
Okay. So final dissertations are written in past tense because you did your research, right? It's already done, the lit review. All right. So when you do your first proposals, chapter 1 through 3, except for chapter 2, it's in past. 1 and 3 are in present tense because you haven't done it yet. After you pass your proposal, you do it in past tense. You had to go back and change it. Okay. So I know all that work, but you'll be changing it anyways because you learn things, your committee member wants you to do things. But, that's kind of the way it is. And so present tense and then past tense. But chapter 2 is research already done. Did you see anybody state their opinion? No, they're just recording out the research. They're finding those key points and recording out the research. I think that's the hardest a lot of times. So I'm hoping I'm clearer this year on that for you guys. Okay. All right. Couple more slides and we're out of here. So now when you're doing your lit review, the best advice I can give you for when you're meeting with your chair, have good communication by summarizing what you have found in the literature. Your chair is not always going to have time to read everything you do. So create a summary to talk to them so you can catch them up. Okay, so summarize it. This is what I want you to look at. In my literature this week, I worked on whatever. And this is what I came up. I'm thinking I'm moving towards this. Okay, then they can help facilitate, guide you, and it just becomes a nicer and more pleasant process for both of you. Okay, that's the best advice I can give you. And we'll talk more about this and you'll have more in your classes, but whenever you can, I want you to look up theoretical framework in your interest area. So if you're doing it in autism, I want you to look up what are some frameworks that research autism. What are some theoretical frameworks that research autism? What are they using in the research articles? And just search the article, theoretical or conceptual frameworks. What are they using? Find one that you like, because your theoretical framework is going to be your lens of how you're going to write your lit review, what methods you choose, how you're going to report your findings and your conclusions. Some people have one, some people have three. They might have one theoretical framework and one conceptual framework. Okay, so look those two up. We don't, right now, when I get the candidates, this is the most confusing. Once they get their theoretical framework, they take off in writing. So that's why I'm telling you now, do some research on your own. What are some of the things? In the next class, we're going to learn Bowman and Dill's 4 frames. That's a theoretical framework. Okay. CTR, critical race theory. That's a theoretical framework, right? It's theory. All right. So you guys have made it through seminar number 1, a basic overview. The main thing is forms, good communication with your chair. You take charge. It's your journey. You get that timeline done. Set up a method how you're going to collect. Right now, you're doing a lot of reading on different articles and classes. You need to synthesize, put them somewhere, and figure out a way how you're going to get the information from the articles so you can start synthesizing the information. Try to choose your topic area so you're not wasting your time just on any area when you're looking for articles and doing your papers. You're doing some reading now. You should healthily, if you're doing a good job, at least 20 to 50 articles in this semester to next December. You're reading a lot of articles. When you read them, go through the table of contents. Read the abstract. Read significance of study, chapter 1. The questions. Look at the outline for chapter 2. Read what interests you. Look at the methodology. What did they do? And then go to chapter 5. What were their conclusions? That's a quick way to get through the article. Okay. Any questions? Thank you guys for hanging in there. Sorry it took a little bit longer, but I wanted to make sure you had a good foundation. So when you're going through classes, you're working on your dissertation and you have a plan. So we know Form 1 and 2 are going to be due this time. Your 3-year plan is going to be due. So as a cohort, develop that 3-year plan, and then you can vary yours, whatever you'd like to do. Okay. All right, you guys, I'll see you March 22nd, and I'll be sending out your book and information for that first class. Okay. All right. Good to see you.
I have one question. Will you be
Sure.
sending us via email or via Canvas? What kind of communication can we expect?
Canvas. It'll be in Canvas.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Thank
I'll
you so
open
much.
up soon. I try not to open up too quick because I want you to finish the class. So I'll open it up and I'll send it out so you have plenty of time to get it. But it is an ebook too. So I would suggest an ebook because it's cheaper.
Thank you.
But whatever you like to do. All right, you guys. Take care.